Welcome to the J.R. Hendrick Texan Gentleman, a podcast that deals with the early life of J.R. Hendrick in a narrated format. Welcome to the podcast where we'll teach people to mind their own business. This episode is called Mind Your Own Self-Possession. And so, you learn quite a bit from this, really. So I want you to be ready for this. Pretty interesting. Okay. We're going to mind your own self-possession. 2 p.m. Central. In his executive suite in Gary, Indiana, Jim is consulting with former Vice President Dan Quayle. 3 p.m. Mary, Kristen's mother, showed up at the condo. "Tell me the truth," Mary demanded. "Are you and JR making love?" "No," Kristen said defiantly. "Come see a couple of blocks on my daughter." "Don't lie to me," Mary demanded. "We've been making out." "Mom, that's all," Kristen says. "Here he comes now." And of course, Cher walks in and she says, "You could show my daughter a little more discretion," Mary complained. 6:30 p.m. JR, Kristen, and Mary had dinner together. And now they're back at the condo as Kristen plays some of her tracks from the studio. "If your music was that good, like you say it is, then why weren't you playing at the Democratic National Convention?" Mary said. Now, Kristen and her family are lifelong Democrats. 8:30 p.m. Eastern. 9:30 rather. A lone figure makes his way into the Fort Walton Beach, Florida Marriott Superdome. He makes his way up to the 10th floor. And a reporter is overheard saying, "Moody's gave us a new and improved credit rating today." He passed through a cigar bar. "You should try this hot new restaurant in town," a young guy was sat talking to his girlfriend. A female Secret Service agent approaches him. Mr. Ellison, you're here to see the president. This way, she said, leading him directly. Into the hallway. The man walked into the executive suite where the president and Mrs. Clinton are listening to Fleetwood Mac. Give us a moment alone, darling, President Clinton said. Now tomorrow, while I fly back to Washington, you go charm those ladies groups in Lansing, Michigan, because I feel like winning is this close. You better get back on the campaign trail as soon as you can, Hillary said. Yeah, honey, I know. Just go to the room until I talk to this kind man, the president said. President Clinton, Michael Ellison, the man said. I've been waiting for a word from a man like you. So, tell me, what's the word on the ground? On the media, the president said, taking a cigar out of his mouth. There's a rogue employee in Congress going around saying that Hendrick wants to resign. Not to mention, Hendrick appeared 2 days ago on the Andrew House show. Ellison said, sitting across from the president. Oh no. Look, I have a lot of consultants working with me, but I need you to be kind of like what Dick Morris used to be. Putting your finger on the pulse of America. His popularity is growing by leaps and bounds among populace. So crazy man here. So crazy man here. Crazy man there. Not to mention, I heard he's supporting Ross Perot. Not long before, you know that redneck oil man. Keeps changing his stripes every time there's an election season. Okay. Here we go. September the 8th. What happened the next day was easy to tell. Kristen's mama took her shopping and wouldn't stop complaining about me. So Kevin McDonald knew that I would be moping. So we went down to the bowels of Lanier Hall to study civil procedure. Okay, so now it's the morning of the 8th of September, 9:30 a.m., with Kristen's mom gone back to Austin. JR and Kristen go to church at First Baptist Lubbock. Now, 1 p.m. Eastern. With church being over, Jim and Betsy are having lunch in bed. So you told Bill you're only working Monday and Tuesday, Betsy said. I don't like how things have turned up with Phil. Besides, I have a contact up in Baton Rouge that knows something about his affiliation, whether his father's affiliation. Tell me what's going on. This is where I think we're going to get a Sprite, JR, and listen to this, because the plot is going to thicken. Yeah, because this is where Daddy begins to become Mr. Conspiracy Theorist. And Jim sat up in bed and put his plate on the nightstand. When I got the feeling that Phil was on the power trip, I made some calls to some of your daddy's contacts. Turns out that Phil's father had ties to some Swift mafia up in Brooklyn from 1936 to 1945. I don't deny that they still exist, because they do. Phil was able to sell their family home where his father was, through a realtor who's connected to that Swiss mafia, rather than going through an attorney. He wants me out, so that maybe Bill Clinton could put one of his cronies in. He could lose, you know that. That's what I'm hoping on, Jim said. I just want you on this one campaign before I send you back to Texas the 20th. 2 p.m. Eastern. Betsy is watching some home and gardening TV show. So Jim goes to his home office to call his uncle, Isaac. You still coming tomorrow? Jim asked. Yeah, the doctor says I'm still clear to travel. And I know we don't buy tickets because you said we had a charter plane we have waiting for us, Isaac said. It'll be the last time you see me in Washington, D.C. as a public official. And I hear that Aunt Kathleen is flying in Wednesday to greet us in Louisville, Kentucky. Yes, sir. She's healthy as a bee and can't wait to see you. 4 p.m. Central. After Kristen's cousin Terrence, on her mama's side, decided to go to Texas Tech to follow her cousin, his cousin. He stopped to have supper at Subway and bumps into Brent. You don't know me, but my cousin Kristen talks about you most of the time. You are JR's friend, Brent, Terrence said. You have me at a disadvantage, Brent said. And who are you? Terry Fremont. I'm a freshman business student. And my mom, Becky, is Kristen's aunt. My parents divorced 4 years ago. And Kristen has been talking nonstop about you and JR. So I'm hoping for a better life in Lubbock. Then you and I have a common bond. Not just JR, but both of our parents have had a strained relationship. 8 p.m. Central. JR and Kristen are in her condo listening to some Amistar motivational tapes. JR is getting mesmerized. Basically excited about the business. And she said, and Kristen says, now you see what I'm excited about. Now I'll be able to come to the Family Enterprise weekends. More prepared, JR said. Okay, so the 9th through the 10th. This is pretty interesting. It's the 9th, 9 a.m. Central. JR is in the law library studying when Dean Jack Robertson walks in. Mind if we talk? The dean said. Sure, JR said. Your daddy heard about what your girl's mama's been talking trash about you. That woman is the president that wants to control everything. Plus, he probably heard that I was down Saturday at the law library, Gerald said. I want you to go see this Christian psychiatric counselor up there at St. Mary's. Dean Robertson said. I know your daddy might say no. But we got to make some to solve some of the problems. 1 p.m. Central, Eastern. At the AA, Jim is surprised to see his Uncle Isaac walking into his office. Don't worry, the driver is taking you around to Rebecca and the luggage back to your mansion. I just want to see what you're doing. Analyzing press clippings, which ain't so fun, Jim said. Tell me why you're resigning. Tired of all the crap. The family is falling apart. I'm needed back home in Texas. To put the whole thing together. But you said you love to serve this country. But I love Betsy and the kids more. 3 p.m. Central. Kristen is in calculus class, and she is finally catching on with her homework. And some of the formulas she's working on is helping her solve the food distribution cuts, production cuts, and Hendrick Foods. 9 p.m. Eastern. Chief of Staff Leon Panetta meets a Secret Service agent in the hall on the second floor. Make it quick, as the president is making an early flight tomorrow to Jackson, Georgia. Panetta walks in. Sit down, President Clinton said. Now, what's got you this irate on the Monday evening? Jim Hendricks on the Blake Carter show on Friday, Leon Panetta said. A kook talks to another kook. Nothing new from this podunk. Yeah, well, my secretary tells me I have an appointment tomorrow morning at 10 with this disgruntled commerce employee. He calls himself Blackjack Gonzalez. Anderson Jack Gonzalez, President Clinton said. My folks in the FBI. They know who the mole is. All we got to do is honor the mole. Call Jim Hendrick tomorrow morning. Have him meet me at the Carlisle Hotel in New York City on October 4th. And we will talk. "7 a.m. Central. JR and Kristen have breakfast in JR's condo. Matilda makes boiled eggs for JR and some pancakes for Kristen. I got classes from 9:30 to 2, JR said. We can get together afterwards if need be. You've spent all night in that law library. If I hadn't called you, Kristen said. Probably property and legal practice is eating my lunch, Jared said. That Serbian professor, that Serbian property professor, I can barely understand. Well, I have to go to the studio. Betty Spaulding is picking us up for the meeting tonight. "10 a.m. Central. The lecture hall where they have legal practice classes is under renovation, so they meet in lecture hall 109 for class. Dr. Friedrich McKay begins the discussion. We looked at the particulars of the case, Jackson County versus Edna Bureau of Labor. J.R. Hendrick, can you please state for us the original complaint of in the Bureau of Labor. JR ruffled through his briefs and stood up. In the Bureau of Labor's complaint was that Jackson County wasn't giving them proper Fifth Amendment due process notice. Bingo! Nice going, JR. I didn't think you were paying attention to class. But this time, you blew the doors off, Frederick McKay said. 1 p.m. Eastern. Jim is working with interns, keeping in track of the supportability for small business legislation when Justin Ryder walks in just in time for his appointment. You guys take the work downstairs. A good friend of mine is here, Jim said. Can I offer you something to drink? Some champagne, please, Justin Ryder said. Damn. I take it we're celebrating, Jim said. Message received. Blackjack Gonzalez got the chief of staff to set you up. Prime audience with the president. It was to be at the Carlisle Hotel, but plans have changed. You're going to meet him at 2 p.m. at the LaGuardia Hotel in New York. Then I take my walking papers and walk out of his miserable life, Jim said, taking 2 glasses. I think this calls for celebration. 2 oil men, 1 vision. So I'm going to drink me some Sprite. To celebrate the beginning of the end of Jim's political career. 2:30 p.m. Central. JR and Kristen are making out in his condo when the phone rings. I'm Michelle for Dr. Claude L. Walker. We set up an appointment at your earliest convenience. Can you come tomorrow at 3 p.m.? I know you have a lab at that time, but the dean feels that he can give you an exemption, the receptionist said. Fine, I'll be there, Jared said. And Kristen's like, any problems? And Jared's like, no, just getting me some help. Okay, so it's 5 p.m. Eastern. Jim, Betsy, and Jim's uncle and aunt are having dinner together and ready for his speech Johns Hopkins. 7 p.m. at the Emma Star meeting. Elias Grace delivered the presentation after the 30 minutes training presentation. The leadership training was to be delivered by Michael Moore, a regional coordinator for Emma Star, and professor of international business at Lubbock University College. 10 p.m. Eastern. The Hendrick entourage returned back to 14 Heritage Gate after Jim's speech of the entourage. Okay, so here we go to the 11th. 7 a.m. Kristen is having breakfast with the producers. So JR saunters over to the Holy Spirit Club for an egg and chicken sandwich. And Stoney says, well, Brent is doing pretty good nowadays. Problem is, there isn't much of the old crew left to talk to. I know. Even Connie works as the religion editor. Desk for the Lubbock branch of the Fort Worth Times, Jared said. So how are you and Kristen? Maybe you should invite her for tomorrow night's devotional. I don't know. I'll talk to her. Her studio keeps her pretty busy. 11:40 a.m. Eastern. The Hendrick entourage departs from Reagan International Airport bound for Louisville, Kentucky. Before takeoff, Jim had been at the plane to deliver a press statement for his supportability for small business legislation. 3 p.m. Central. JR enters into the office of Dr. Claude L. Walker. Come on in and sit down. Before we get started on you, let me introduce myself. I'm Claude L. Walker, who was born in Virginia Beach back in 1944. I have a bachelor's in Bible at Tennessee Bible College. I have a master's in psychology from Baylor and an MD in psychiatry in Baylor. I specialize in mental illness issues. Wait a minute. My dean wants me locked up? JR asked in concern. Dr. Walker laughed. No, son. That is the old days. You probably heard that from your parents who watch too many movies. It's ridiculous. Tell me about yourself. I'm a first-year law student who's in love with a beautiful woman. But I get the feeling that her mama and my daddy don't want us together. Why is that? Stupid political reasons. You see, Daddy's a Republican. Her mama is a Democrat, Jared said. Now, that's a small thing. But that could cause some problems down the line. Nonetheless, your dean says that you've been depressed and down part of last week and this week. My mama hovers over my younger brother, the middle child. My sister Kristen and I always feel like that we get to compete for our parents' love. It's ridiculous. And their dramas and their actions are distracting me from what I want in life. And what is that? I want to be kept in peace. Go to law school. Finish it. Move to a big city with my future wife. Go on and be happy. And you feel like your family is stopping that. Tell me about your mother. You can't ask for a better mother. When I was sick, we used to go to different hospitals. And Mama was sitting with me while I cried or I felt scared. She'll do anything for her kids. But she's also a tough one to cross. Have you crossed her before? A couple times in my prep school days. JR has a flashback dream. March 19th, 1985. Is that all the uniforms you got for us to wash? But she said, yes, Mama. Yes, Mama. Because I catch you lying. I'm gonna kick your butt in between your shoulder blades. Mike Fields came out of the shadows All right, Betsy, that's enough. He told you the truth. Stop hovering over Kyle. And stop treating your firstborn like a wounded stepchild. Jared's mind goes back to the psychologist's office. Sorry. It's just that for 4 years, that Daddy was off in Nashville, chasing fame. Mama went nuts. That's why Granddad put in some friends of his. As secondary guardians. To kind of make sure everything ran like it should. At 7 p.m. At the devotional, Lubbock University College professor Isaac Katz talks about the issue of a federal law banning abortion. 11 p.m. Central. JR had been holding Kristen for over an hour when he calmly sees that she's asleep. He gets up, calmly locks her door, and goes to his condo. September 12th. (1 p.m.) In torts class, Professor Barnett begins teaching about property torts. The particular case was INDC versus Eastern Texas Power Coalition. Okay, this must be the 12th. 5 p.m. Eastern. At 14 Heritage Gate, Jim is having drinks with Justin Ryder. Half of the people in power now. I don't like these guys, Justin Ryder said. Hell of a system. You should have seen the storm yesterday and today. At the Bob Cooney trial. 3-ring circus trap, Jim said. Well, at least I got you an ally in the Clinton administration that can help you quit. I bet you nobody by the name of Blackjack Gonzalez the one from Austin, Hillary Clinton says is terrible, that she can't stand. Jim said. If he does what he's told, I can walk out gracefully. 9 p.m. JR kisses Kristen goodnight and walks towards his condo. 11 a.m. JR walks out of civil procedure class. Wait a minute, something's... Make sure. Yeah, there's something wrong there. I know that can't be right. Okay. Forgive me, guys. Here we go. Most of the time zones are going to be central from here on out, except for a few. 6:30 a.m. JR and Kristen have pancakes in his condo. And Kristen said, I asked if Larry and Betty's Spalding, along with Teresa and May, to fly in with us, Kristen said. Our plane leaves at 11:10 in the morning. So sorry, you'll have to miss civil procedure that day, Kristen said. That's fine. I got told yesterday that the Professor Francis has to present at the University of Massachusetts that day, JR said. "8:03 a.m. Meanwhile, Christine is studying in the prep school library when David walks up to her. I haven't seen you in a while. Outside of school. What's going on? Do you remember? I had to see my dorky brother last weekend. Now, I'm ready to party. There's a cotillion tonight. At the Platt House. I wanted to ask you out for that dance. And dinner also. David said. Oh, how romantic, Christine said. Was my parents gone? It seems like it don't really matter anymore. And I'd like to get away from school and Hendrick Foods for a while. "12:30 p.m. Central. After a tough morning, JR's happy to be in Ford's class with Professor Barnett. Okay, so now it's 1:50 p.m. Karen picks up JR to take him to the doctor. 2:45 p.m. JR is escorted into the examining room, and Dr. Demetrius Nelson walks in. I see your lab results from this morning. They look good, except I think your potassium levels are a little low. Have your driver stop you by John Halsey's pharmacy so you can pick up your medications. 3 p.m. Central. Oblivious to what his brother is up to, Kyle is at a rig in Lubbock that Claude has sent him to supervise for the afternoon and evening. The way Claude was talking, he felt like that Jim would give him some power over Hendrick Oil. 4 p.m. Gerald arrives back at his condo just in time for Kevin McDonald to pull up into the drive. Hey man, you okay? I stopped by here a couple of hours ago to make sure you're all right. And Kristen said that you went out to see the doctor. Kevin said, yeah, I'm all right. Don't worry. Just the usual checkup. Went for a shot on Monday. Other than that, just fine. I wish you could stop the shots. Well, you get your wish. You say I'm going to marry Kristen. You see, I'm going to marry Kristen. And she has to know whether or not I can father kids. Because she don't want kids. Dr. Nelson's assistant said I had to be off the shots for 6 months to go in for some more tests. Why? Because I want to marry Kristen. But she's in no shape of being pregnant. "6 p.m. JR takes Kristen to the Thursday evening devotional, and they sit together with Stoney and Heather. Kristen said that she enjoyed it, just not every Thursday evening. 8 p.m. Nothing would do, but after the devotional, JR took Kristen to the Texas Tech fountain to talk. Actually, really talk for the first time in several weeks. "11:10 a.m. Central. The private jet carrying the Hendrick Amistar party takes off from Lubbock International Airport for DFW International Airport with a limo to take people to their respective hotels and also to the Tarrant County Convention Center. Vidalia by Sammy Kershaw was playing just before the airplane took off. And scene. I have to give this a 3.2 Sprite. Let's see. 3.2 Sprites, a private jet flight, and a business weekend. 3.2 Sprites, a private jet flight, and a business weekend. All right, then, there we go, folks. Hope that you enjoyed listening to the J.R. Hendrick Texan Gentleman. If you like what you hear, please subscribe, become a part of the adventure. This is the J.R. Hendrick Empowerment Network saying until next time, get ready for the rest of the story. It gets more interesting from here.